Hi friends, Brenna Stull here, and I apologize that Chris is not going to be able to be here with me today. He just got back from being gone a week, and he is trying to catch up. So unless he pops out here, it's going to be me today, but I wanted to continue telling the story, answering the question that we get asked all the time: how did you come to adopt? So if you saw part 1 or 2, you know that we shared that adoption was never even on our radar. We really had never considered it. We already had more children than we ever dreamed. We felt like our hands were more than full. And, you know, even when I was a child, I wanted to be around the adults. So I was not looking to surround myself with children. So that, telling you that, just know that that wasn't part of our plan, but God's plan. When He brought that up, which it happened through, at our church, we did an Orphan Crisis Sunday where we talked about the orphan crisis across the world and really took a look at it. And we were challenged by our friend who gave the message that day to pray for 30 days straight and ask the Lord what would you have us do about the orphan crisis. And so that's what we did. Our son, hey Haley, our son Dylan, our son Micah totally held us to the 30 days, and actually 30 days turned into 60 days, 60 days turned into 90, and we were still praying, Lord, what would you have us do about the orphan crisis? Now, the very first day that we prayed that, we had something that night. We were in charge of it. It was an orphan crisis kind of gathering. There were giveaways, and we won the big grand prize basket. They called our names. And we're like, oh, no, we're just hosting. And they're like, oh, no, we don't think these things happen by chance. And so they sent us home with the basket. I was like, I don't want the basket. But anyway, as I shared earlier, that was when everything started coming. Just songs, books, people with dreams, just coming from every side. Scriptures about trusting and all kind of pointing in that direction. So finally, when we came to that point, we on our own, each at 2 different times, really surrendered our hearts to that, to if you're calling us to do this, we are willing. And so then it was like, well, how do you figure out, like, there's millions of orphans across the world. How do you figure out which one's the one? And so just praying through that, Chris and I went on a mission trip to Zambia and South Africa, and we were just sure at one of the orphanages that we worked at in Zambia, surely that was where our child would be. And we came back from that trip really not really feeling anything. Chris went to Sierra Leone to take a mission trip, not even really thinking about adoption. And I got a text from him that said he was going into meetings about, just to be prayerful, he was going into meetings about a child or 2. I'm not sure at that point what it was, but anyway, it ended up being 2. And so I went over 3 months later and got to meet the children, got to meet John and Mariama. I forgot to tell you, first of all, when the very first morning after I surrendered and just said, Lord, yes, I will do this, I went to church the next day and saw my friend Sandy Spangler, and she said, I told her, Sandy, yes, we're supposed to adopt. I talked to her some about it before, but I said, yes, definitely we are. And she's like, oh, we just got in the pictures from the children in the children's home in Sierra Leone, you should look through the pictures. Maybe it's one of them. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's look through pictures. And I was just kind of like very, I don't know. I didn't expect it to be anyone, but I pulled 2 pictures out. And I said, I mean, if I was adopting right now, I mean, I just have to choose one of these. They're just so darling, and I picked out a little girl and a little boy. So that's the backstory. So after Chris went to Sierra Leone months later, we started, then I went months after that, and just was really praying for signs while I was there. Lord, are they supposed to be in our family? And the very first day, I remember the kids were all walking us back to the compound, the kids from the children's home. They were all walking us back, and one little boy and one little girl came up beside me and slipped their hands into my hands on the walk back. And I looked down, and it was John and Mariama. And I was just like, oh my, just a lot of things happened like that on that trip. And I just knew that they were supposed to be ours. So we had already started the paperwork, and we continued the paperwork knowing it was them at that point. I have to say, hi Sydney, hi Terry. Just paperwork for me is a challenge. I am not really into details. I love people. I love to talk to people. I love anything but details. Like, let's have a party, but an hour before the party, I might think, oh, we need utensils. We might need plastic utensils because we've got a lot of people coming. That's just me. So getting through all the paperwork was just crazy for me. And that in and of itself was a miracle, because literally, like, we had to put information about every single thing about ourselves, like even every address that we've lived at in our life. We had to have fingerprints done and go run lots of different places and get things done like that. We had to, you can only imagine, like, even, I'll tell you this, we had to fill out like the weight and height of our siblings and the schematic of the homes that they live in. Because just as a backup, if our kids were to go to them, they needed to know their height, weight, and so that just tells, you can only imagine what we had to answer if that was our backup. So anyway, we got through it. I can tell you, as much as people complain about the U.S. government, as we dealt with the government over there, it made us really, really thankful for our own government. They may be slow, but they're dependable. And so the processing just took forever. It just seemed to take forever. It did take years. But we were at the very, very end of the paperwork, the big packet that we had to fill out. And I needed a couple more details on either John or Mariama. I can't remember, but I went back to the ministry website that did sponsorships for the home in Sierra Leone. And I thought, I'll go back and I'll look. It might be on the website, some information about them. And I looked back on the website, and I was just in awe when I saw something. Hi, Amanda. I saw the 2 pictures of the kids that I had pulled out, like, from the stack that one day, that one Sunday at church. I did not even realize, and I hadn't thought one thing about that until, and they had changed so much because they'd grown up, but the website had not been updated. And I looked back, and I see this sweet little face and this sweet little face, and I realized these were the children that I had picked out of the stack and said, well, I'd have to just take one of these, I'd have to adopt one of these if we were adopting today, but oh my goodness, it was both of them, and it was the very children. I'm just always amazed at how God works and how he puts things in your heart. Hey, Kathleen. But the things he puts in your heart, and even in our own children, you know how you see that, how you'll see things that they love early on, and then they end up doing it. They end up doing that when they grow up and they're adults. So I'm wondering, has God ever confirmed something like that to you, where you saw back, something happened and you just said, oh my goodness, this is undeniable. I'm telling you, if I ever doubted, when I saw these pictures, and I didn't doubt at that point because I'd been over there and so many confirmations when I was in Africa. But it is so awesome. I just think God is so kind, how he leads us and gently guides us along the way. And all we need to do is just seek him. I mean, he knows past, present, future. He knows he made each one of us with a plan. He didn't create anyone without a plan. So we just need to continue to walk with him, and he will unveil that before us. And I know sometimes he lays out scary plans. Kathleen, I know you probably never dreamed of the stuff that you would be doing now down in Mexico. Huge things. And it can seem like so almost overwhelming, too much, like I could never do this. But as we take small steps of obedience, it is amazing how things will just unfold. And God is able. He is able to bring to us the people that we need, the resources that we need, everything to do this. So, just wondering if God has ever confirmed to you when you felt you might have a calling to something, and then he confirmed it in a powerful way. Give me a 1 in comments if that's ever happened to you. I'm sure it has to many of you. So that is it for today. I'm keeping it short and sweet. I'm sorry Chris wasn't able to be out here with me. I am happy to have him back. We had a lot going on last week, and we missed him a lot. So thanks so much, and I pray that you're blessed today. Have a great day.